See how many people we can get on here. Get the chat up and going here with Shred-a-saurus. This will be my first live stream, so hopefully you guys will check it out and like it. Give me some feedback. Let me know what you guys like to see, what you don't like to see. If you like this big dinosaur head, let me know. Hard to type with this thing out, I'm not gonna lie. We're doing some bike maintenance tonight. Should be pretty sweet. Pretty excited to be doing the first live stream on the channel. Should be pretty good. Kicked it off a few minutes early so we can hopefully see who comes on. Kicking things off in the bike room. Got my Airline Cycles t-shirt on tonight. Nice rainy Friday night, so we'll get some bike maintenance done on the bike. Do a little chit-chat and talking about some mountain bike stuff, and we'll go from there. All right, so welcome everybody to D-Champ Cycles' first live YouTube stream. I usually just put out some videos a couple times a week, but wanted to try to go live. Got Shred-a-saurus Rex in the house tonight. So tonight we're going to be doing some bike maintenance on the Norco here behind me. And we're just going to be talking about some general maintenance practices and some things that I like to do. So hopefully we get a few more people in here and we can start kicking off the chat. If you are watching, say hi. Let me know you're watching. These things get crazy hot. I'm going to take this thing off. Alright, so tonight, just going to brush over the bike, kind of give the seals a once over. Probably going to put some fork lube up on the stanchions and check over the shock, make sure I don't have any crazy scratches or anything funky going on. Clean up the chain, lube it up a little bit. Just check over the brakes, check over the crank. Just kind of nut and bolt everything, make sure everything's looking pretty good before our next ride. So I'm going to start by wiping off the bike here. Start up front, check the stanchions out, make sure everything's good with that. Kind of looking over for any scratches or anything crazy, which unfortunately I do see a couple of slight nicks. Not sure where I picked them up at, but they're sitting right here. Two very small nicks on there. So I'll probably try to buff those out and then maybe put some clear lacquer finish on those, just so I can get a little extra protection and hopefully not blow out a fork seal. So that would definitely suck. So I have an arrangement of brushes that I like to use. This is the grunge brush that I got in the last Vital mountain bike gearbox. And I also have an assortment of brushes up here on the freshly built grid wall that I laid out. It's kind of just got an assortment of tools and a small layout of extra spare parts that I have that I like to keep on hand. So this is my little getaway, a little man cave. Hope everybody had a good Halloween. I know we did trick-or-treating. We did a trunk or treat at the local church here in town. It was a good time. So in this bottle right here, I just have some muck off and some water. It's pretty good stuff. It's again another thing I got in the Vital Mountain Bike Gear Club box, and it's really good stuff. So I've been purchasing it when I need it, but kind of on the regular because I really enjoy using it. It just works really good for cleaning up some of these tight areas. This is one of the bottle brushes that I picked up. Just a simple brush. You can grab it at like Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace or any department store or anything like that. It just works good for getting around some of these caps. Just trying to get any dirt or any muck or any craziness away from the seals that could penetrate and blow out the seals. I usually like to clean and re-lube around the outer fork seals up here. Like I said, I'll clean off the stanchions, and I'll also put some of this right here. So this is by Finish Line. This is what I like to oil up my stanchions with. I also put this on my dropper posts. This is called Finish Line Stanchion Lube. So if you guys haven't checked it out or haven't used it yet, I definitely recommend it. It works really well. This is one of those key areas that I think a lot of people overlook, that in time, if not cleaned up and maintained and taken care of, then you're probably going to blow out a seal at some point. And right about now, with winter starting to set in, that's not something I want to do, especially in the cold. So I'm just going to kind of brush around these, clean it all up, and then wipe it down. So it's been kind of raining most of the evening, so it's a good night to just kind of chill out and do some bike maintenance. Kind of, I don't want to say long overdue. I usually try to clean up the bike after every ride, but at least once a week I just like to go through and nut and bolt everything, check everything out, make sure I don't have any issues or problems or any mechanicals that might fail on the next ride, because no one likes to have to stop a ride early for mechanical failure, that's for sure. Alright, so we got that all set up. Just kind of do an inspection on the stanchions, make sure everything's good. Seals are all cleaned up. Wipe off the forks. And on this bike here, I have a set of 150, 160 travel RockShox forks on here. These are the stock setup that came with this bike. I purchased this bike beginning of this year. Bought it from, of course, Airline Cycles, our main go-to shop. So if you're looking for a Norco or a Giant, or actually, to be honest, he has an Intense down there right now. He has a bunch of used bikes for sale. So if you're looking for a new bike or a used bike, head on down to Airline Cycles and talk to Brian. Tell him we sent you, and you'll get hooked up. And it's one of the best guys in the business. So once I get done cleaning up the bike, I'll throw some of the Finish Line stanchion lube on there, and that'll be good to go. And I'll do the same thing for the rear shock also. I'll get it all cleaned up, put some stanchion lube on there. Do that now. And also, as I'm cleaning this stuff up, I'm just looking for wear or tear on any of the fork seals, any leakage on the rear shock, any excess fluid that might be spilling out or weeping from the seals. I only have a couple hundred. Well, actually, I think I have more than that. I'm almost at 1,000 miles for the year. It doesn't seem like much, and it's definitely not my goal for this year. I wanted to have more than that, but with work and some of the other commitments with what I do, I haven't been able to ride as much as I want to or do as many races as I wanted to. But That's just the way the cookie crumbles. I'm just going to continue to clean this area up a little bit. So this small bottle brush is really good for getting in underneath the rear shock, right where the pivot mounts are, and all the hard to reach areas. So it's nice to get in there and clean everything up. Just kind of inspect everything, give it a once over. Get some music up in here at some point. I'd like to get another monitor for the computer. Maybe angle it up, put the webcam maybe up in the corner, make it a little bit easier for you guys to see everything. Right now I'm just using my laptop, so it's kind of tough. Give you guys a little bit of a better angle. Also, I just want to say thanks to everybody that's been tuning into the channel. Right about now, some of our videos are starting to take off. The last Shred-a-saurus Rex video that I did is up to 3.4K in views. The Moeen video is up over 2K in views. The Secret Enduro Playground video that I did, everybody really liked. I didn't think it was one of the better videos, but it's up to 8.1K for views. Cal's Park is up to 4.4. A bunch of the other videos are on the rise, and we're, as of this month, or I should say last month, because we're now in November, we gained 51 subscribers last month. So thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for subscribing. I really appreciate it. And hopefully the channel will continue to grow, because we're trying to reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers and just put out some better quality content for you guys. Do some more reviews. I'd like to start working with Airline Cycles and riding with those guys a little bit more. Maybe bring you some tech nights from the bike shop and do some group rides and do some more filming of some other people and just have some fun. Because there is a very good group of guys that ride for Stage 1 Cycles, Airline Cycles race team. Those guys are killing it right now, so shout out to those guys. A lot of podiums, a lot of first place. Those guys are awesome. It's really cool to log on to Facebook and check out their journey and see the pictures from some of the races that those guys have been doing. So kudos to you guys. It's always cool after a long day of work to log on and see you guys kicking butt. So keep it up, man. So now that I've cleaned up the front fork and the rear shock, I'll finish wiping down the bike probably later on, get some of the dirt and grit off in some of the hard to reach areas, especially where the cable routing grommets sit on the frame. I'll probably loosen those up, brush them off, throw them back in. But right now I'm going to take the grunge brush. It's got a really nifty chain cleaning tool on here, if you guys can see it. It's kind of in the shape of a C. Got bristles on 3 sides, pretty nice. So what I like to do is just pop it on, and bike just fell over. Pop it on and just kind of spin the crank, clean up some of the muck off the chain, get some of the excess chain lube off there. That way we can re-lube it up. That way it is covered and protected. So while I'm playing with it, being that it fell over, so it must want some attention. This bike is from the early 2000s. This is the Huffy. This is a 24-inch cruiser that I've had for a really long time. I actually built this with a friend of mine who has been passed away for a long time now. Those of you may remember Ed Lambert, who used to live in Plainfield. I used to call him the bike guy. When I was younger, just kind of riding around town, riding my BMX bike. I used to ride over to his little shop and build bikes with him, and he kept me out of trouble when I was younger and kept me on the straight and narrow. Kind of turned me on to BMX bikes and race bikes, and it's been an addiction ever since from there. So thanks to Ed, even though he's not here. rest in peace for sure. But thanks for getting into me something very healthy. But anyway, back to this bike. This was Snap BMX Magazine's S2K Y2K Shootout Bike winner. I used to race this bike a long time ago. I'm not sure if the track is still there, but there was a track in Bethel that we used to go to. This bike is super awesome. I'm in the middle of kind of restoring it and bringing it back to the way it used to be. So this is one of the bikes in my bike collection. We also have a Cannondale Catalyst hardtail. I have my Sunday Forecaster, which is one of my BMX bikes. I also have a old DK that I have downstairs in the garage that I've been playing with. And sitting over here in the corner, turn this for you guys so you can check it out. Got the Norco Fluid 29er. And then all the way in the far corner is the James Renegade cyclocross bike. And that bike is absolutely awesome. One of my favorite bikes that I own. Actually, who am I kidding? All of the bikes that I own are my favorite bikes. If I could, I'd have one of every single kind of bike. So anyway, back to the bike maintenance here. Just going to kind of clean up the chain ring, get any gunk off that. And as we all know, corrosion sets in pretty quick. I washed these bikes after a quick ride out at Moline last night. And even sitting inside after I dried it off, there's still a little bit of corrosion around the chain ring and on the chain. So we'll clean that up, re-lube it, and then we should be good to go. But it's definitely a good practice to get into, especially on those muddy rides that everybody goes on. I see a lot of guys just kind of throw their bikes in the corner and they don't clean everything up. I definitely don't recommend that. Even if you just squirt it down with a hose real quick, wipe it down, it's definitely 10 times better than just letting it sit and get caked on. So, and as I'm going through and cleaning stuff up, I'll just inspect the chain, make sure there's no crazy wear, any chunks missing out at any lengths or anything looks funny. Obviously, you're going to want to check your chain ring, make sure there's no teeth missing, make sure you didn't bash it up and bend it or anything crazy like that, because we all know stuff happens. You hit rocks, you bend stuff. You may not notice it out on your next ride. Then you have a mechanical failure, and then you're like, ah, shit. So yeah, right now I just got a little bit of corrosion over here, but I'll get taken care of once we re-lube everything. Another thing is in the past, I used to always have problems with the derailleur, but thankfully when I switched from SRAM to Shimano, I haven't had any issues. So what I like to do is just kind of go through and shift, make sure everything's good, shift through all the gears, make sure everything is nice and tight, shifts nice and smooth, no issues. I actually wasn't able to finish a race this past summer because I bashed my derailleur up pretty good, bent the hanger and just kept popping the chain off. It was kind of a nightmare, which sucked because it was a pretty good race. I really liked the venue. I definitely liked the people that I was racing with, and we were having a pretty good night up until that point, but things happen. That's all looking pretty good. So, and then I'll just give the bike a once over, kind of nut and bolt everything, make sure everything's tight, not rattling loose. And then after that, it's just a matter of cleaning all the mud and the dirt and all the crap off there. And another thing to remember, a key note, now that the weather is starting to change, depending on what climate you're in or where you're riding, when the temperature drops down and it starts to get cold, check the air in your front forks and check the air in your rear shock, and then obviously your tires. Different temperature changes are going to make your readings and your settings different. So what you run normally during the summer, as far as sag and presets and where you like everything, is not going to be the same during the winter. So you definitely want to change those and take notes, write everything down like I do in a book, That way you have it, because you're not always going to remember all your numbers in your head. So, and then as far as what I'm going to use for chain lube, I'm going to use Finish Line wet bike lube, or we also have a Finish Line dry. So again, depending on the weather, climate, where you're at, you can use either or. I generally just like to use the wet bike lube, but some people don't like to use the wet lube. Wet lube attracts a lot of dust, sand, rocks, all that. So I did just get this in the mail from Vital. It's a dry bike lube, like I was saying, from Finish Line. So I think I'm going to try that tonight. And also, Finish Line makes another really good product. It's called the Ecotech Bike Chain Degreaser. So definitely check this out. This is something that you can throw on there. Use your grunge brush or whatever you use. You can use a couple of toothbrushes zip tied together, and then you just slide the chain in the center. Another thing you can use is a toilet brush. Obviously, go to the store and buy a clean one. Don't use the one that is in your bathroom. And that gets in there pretty good to clean up the chain ring, your cassette back here, your derailleur, and all that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put some of this degreaser on the brush, run it through one more time, and then I'm going to lube everything up. I haven't actually tried this yet, so we'll see how it works. So all I'm going to do is just put a little on there. I'm going to put the brush back on. See what she does. So that worked out pretty good. That definitely cleaned it up kind of nice. And what's cool with this brush, because of the shape that it's in, when you set your chain in here, you can kind of bring it back and put it all the way in the rear triangle against the stays, and it just sits in there perfect. And then all you have to do is just crank this thing by hand. And it's not hitting your wheel or doing any funky motions or anything crazy. It's nice and easy to hold on to. So for those of you that are just joining in, hit us up in the chat. Let us know you're watching. Say hi. Always a good thing to have. Shop towels. Go ahead and wipe this off. Like I said, for tonight, I'm going to use the Finish Line dry lube instead of the wet lube that I normally use. Rotate that around. Get a little on there. You don't have to go too crazy with this stuff. And then I'll just go through and just click it up and down a little bit, go through the gears, let everything work in. Another thing to always check, brake pads. Just kind of take a peek, see where your pad wear is at, because obviously you don't want to burn up a rotor. These things are anywhere between $60 and $80 a piece, so definitely not something that you want to waste just because of negligence. So front looks pretty good, back looks pretty good. Everything else looks pretty good. So that's pretty much it as far as bike maintenance tonight is concerned. Just the small things, nothing crazy. Like I said, the last on my to-do list is to put some stanchion lube on the forks, and I'll put a little bit on the dropper post, keep that actuating and moving pretty, smooth and steady. do a quick nut and bolt, and then finish cleaning everything up. So that's pretty much it for me for bike maintenance night, as far as this Norco side is concerned. So thanks for watching. If you guys are up to riding this weekend, we'll probably be shredding it up on Sunday. Not quite sure where we're going to go, but hit us up on D-Champ Cycles on Facebook. Drop a comment on any of the videos. Let us know what you think of the videos, what you'd like to see. Let us know about the live stream. It was kind of a last-minute thing, so I don't think too many people were able to tune in. But if you did, thanks for checking it out. And as always, hit the subscribe button if you haven't. If you have, thanks for supporting us, and we'll see you next time.